My name is Amelia, and for the better part of 8 years, I played the quiet role in my family. I was the forgotten daughter, the single mother, the one who supposedly never quite figured it out. While my sister Olivia and her picture-perfect family were treated like royalty, I was repeatedly and quietly pushed aside. The worst part wasn't the neglect itself. It was the yearly reminder that my children and I didn't matter as much, that somehow we were the ones who needed to shrink ourselves to not expect inclusion, to understand that there just wasn't enough room for us. Started 8 years ago with a simple call from my mother, Evelyn. I remember it so clearly, as if her words were branded into my brain. Amelia, honey, I'm so sorry, but there's just not enough room at the beach house this summer. Olivia's family has grown so much, and you know how the kids need their space. At the time, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. For kids is a lot. Maybe it really was too crowded. I didn't want to make a fuss, especially since my own life was already messy. A fresh divorce, 2 young children to care for, and a business that was barely off the ground. I swallowed my disappointment and told myself that next year would be different. Next year never came. Every March, the same call, the same excuses, the same shrugging off of my existence. And every year, my children, Alex and Mia, would look up at me with eyes full of innocent questions. Why can't we go to Grandma's beach house like Jack and Ava? Did we do something wrong? I lied to them. I said it was because the house was small, that maybe next year Grandma would invite us too. But inside, the truth was a slow, smoldering fire. Mom's beach cottage in North Carolina was not a shack. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with an expansive deck and a breathtaking ocean view. There was space. There was always space. Each summer, Olivia's family, her husband Mike and their children Jack, Ava, James, and Arya, would descend on the beach house like it was their birthright. My mother would spend weeks preparing, stocking the fridge with Mike's favorite craft beers, buying Olivia's preferred organic sunscreen, laying out beach toys, floaties, and new swimsuits for the children. She'd clean every corner and decorate the guest rooms. They were her guests of honor. And us? We were an afterthought, a footnote, a maybe next year that was never meant to happen. What hurt the most wasn't the exclusion itself. It was the way it bled into everything else. At birthdays, Mom would gush about Olivia's job as if it were the pinnacle of success. Mike closed another big deal, she'd say. They might even get that second SUV. Meanwhile, I'd hear her murmur to my aunt or cousin, Amelia is still freelancing. She's still figuring things out. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shout that I wasn't figuring anything out. I was building something from the ground up. I was surviving. No, I was doing more than surviving. I was thriving. After my divorce, I'd started a graphic design business from nothing. I worked 12-hour days, balancing client calls with school pickups, creating marketing campaigns while making boxed macaroni and cheese. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and it was growing. But to my family, especially to Mom and Olivia, it wasn't real. It wasn't the kind of job you talked about with pride at the dinner table. I didn't have a 401k or a commute. I worked in leggings from my kitchen counter. To them, I was still a cautionary tale. Last summer, everything snapped. I had just landed a 6-figure contract with a tech startup. The biggest project of my career. It was a full brand overhaul, web design, logo, packaging, social media strategy. The kind of job that could keep me financially secure for the entire year. At Mom's birthday dinner, I excitedly shared the news. She blinked at me, smiled politely and said, "That's wonderful, dear. Maybe now you can find a more stable job." Olivia chimed in with her trademark condescension. "Come on, Mom. Amelia likes playing on her computer. It's not like she's ready for a real career." I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just smiled. And I started planning. By October, my business had doubled in size. I hired 2 part-time contractors. I raised my rates and only took clients who respected my time. By December, I was booked out 6 months in advance. Still, I said nothing to my family. I kept my old car. I wore the same clothes. I let them think I was treading water. Until March came around. I beat Mom to the call. I didn't wait for her to say it. I simply said, "No need to worry, Mom. We won't be going to the beach house this year. We already have plans." And that was true. Very true. In secret, I had purchased a small resort about 2 hours south of Mom's beach cottage. It had 12 oceanfront rooms, a tired-looking restaurant, and a disheveled staff, but it had potential. I hired a professional management company to handle the operations while I poured money into renovations. New beds, elegant decor, a children's playground and splash zone, infinity pool, fire pits, hammocks, a gourmet chef. By June, it was no longer a rundown beach inn. It was Seaside Haven Resort, my resort. And it was glorious. That first week in July, I took my kids there. We stayed in the most luxurious suite. 2 bedrooms, a private balcony, and a beachfront view. Mia ran circles through the rooms, shouting, "This is the best vacation ever." We rode horses on the beach. We took a boat out to see dolphins. We watched fireworks from the infinity pool. And for the first time, I saw my children experiencing the kind of joy their cousins had taken for granted. Then I made the calls. Uncle Benjamin and Aunt Carol were the first. Then my cousin David and his wife. My Aunt Nancy, the Martinez family, anyone who had ever made me or my children feel seen. I told them all the same thing: Labor Day weekend, Seaside Haven, all expenses paid, no strings attached. I booked the entire resort, 22 guests, private chef, activities for all ages. I didn't invite Mom. I didn't invite Olivia. When Labor Day weekend arrived, it was magical. Everyone kept asking how I had done it. Just a good year, I'd say. One evening, Uncle Benjamin pulled me aside and said, "Your mom must be so proud." I replied calmly, "She doesn't know." And when he asked why, I told him the truth. Because for 8 years, there wasn't enough room for me and my kids. And now, there just isn't enough room for them. Word spread. By Monday, Mom was calling. "Is it true? You own a resort." "It's true," I said. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ever make room for us?" There was silence. Then, "But we're family." I laughed. "Funny how you remember that now." Olivia exploded a few hours later. "You're tearing this family apart," she screamed into the phone.
No, Olivia.
"I'm just not volunteering to be mistreated anymore." In the weeks that followed, the calls kept coming. Mom pleaded. Olivia fumed. Family tried to mediate, but I stayed firm. The resort was flourishing. My design agency expanded. My kids were thriving, and I wasn't about to shrink again. Thanksgiving came and went. We held it at the resort with our new chosen family. Christmas, same story. Mom offered to bring everyone to Seaside Haven. I told her the truth. It was fully booked, with paying guests who hadn't spent years excluding me. 3 years have passed since I bought that first resort. Now I own 2, Seaside Haven and Mountain View Lodge. A third is in the works in Colorado. My agency has 15 employees. My kids are proud of me, and I am proud of me. Mom and I are trying to rebuild. Slowly, carefully. Olivia and I are learning to respect each other. She even brought her family to Seaside Haven last summer as paying guests. But I'll never forget those 8 years. And I'll never again allow anyone to treat me or my children as less. Because when someone tells you there isn't enough room, you build your own room. Then you build a resort. Then you build an empire. And you fill it with the people who truly see your worth.